Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy.
I got this. I got this.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy Dizzy, and all my season's over, so yeah, there ain't nothing to talk about. I'll see y'all next year. nah, I'm playing, but season is over. The all my season is over. Okay, so we're gonna talk about that, of course, in just a bit, man. But before we get into anything, I do want to say this: sunny days, everybody loves them. Tell me, baby, can you stand the rain? 'Cause I want you, and I need you, and I love you. It was raining cats and fucking dogs this past weekend, all right? And I want to say this about the rain. I'm driving the speed limit, all right? When it's pouring rain outside, I am driving the speed limit when I am on the freeway. And if you're one of those motherfuckers that likes to go Tokyo drift and speed all throughout the highway and be all up on my ass because I'm not driving as fast as you want me to drive, fuck you, okay? Fuck you. When it's pouring rain, I'm out there like Tom Dubois.
He obeyed every traffic law. He had never as much as broken the speed limit.
You drive like an old bitch.
And there were way too many people this past weekend that were just waiting behind me, waiting for me to go faster in a damn monsoon, and I wasn't having it, all right? And I know it wasn't any of y'all in particular, but just know, if it ever is, we gonna be outside like Peter and Quagmire.
Oh, hang on a second. I'm stuck behind some fat ass driving too slow. Come on, stupid, move it!
Now, hang on, Quagmire. Some jerk behind me is honking his horn.
Oh, you should totally flip him off. Oh, hang on a sec. Some fat ass just flipped me off. Hey, up yours, you jerk!
Hang on, Quagmire. I gotta kick this guy's ass.
Yeah, I gotta kick this guy's ass.
Hey, I'll call you back after the fight.
Yeah, me too.
Good luck in yours.
Good luck in yours.
I mean, the shit was ridiculous. So much so that I'm over here missing Montana. I'm over here missing the snow in Montana, because at least when it snows, you can say, oh, it's cute. You know what I'm saying? The snowflakes. Maybe you slip every other step, but at least you ain't stepping in puddles, getting the bottom of your pants wet, ruining your Air Force Ones, all types of shit. All right. I'm out here feeling like a damn R. Kelly victim with the way that this shit is just downpouring on the top of my head. All right. So, I'm glad that's over. All right. I'm glad that I woke up today and it wasn't pouring rain again. But this past weekend was crazy. If you couldn't tell already, I'm feeling good. All right. I'm feeling a little better. You know, last couple times I come on here, I was saying, you know, I don't really know what I'm talking about. I wasn't going to record. No. That ain't the case today. I got a lot of shit to get off my chest. All right. And with that being said, let's get into the game plan. We're going to start with the halftime headlines, of course. Like I said, I'm my season. That shit over with. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. I'm going to get my first ever college football playoff bracket prediction. Shedeur's debut was this past weekend. It's the biggest story in football right now, so we got to talk about it. And I'm going to revisit some 2-8 playoff comments that I gave a couple weeks ago. Some people, you know what I'm saying, they pushing back on me a little bit about that. So I got to talk about that again and explain myself furthermore. He's Diffie, of course, some predictions, and to wrap it all up, as always, the halftime speech. Outside of that, man, you already know where I'm going with this one. I just checked. We're just over 90 subscribers away from hitting the goal of 350 subscribers by the end of the football season. Like I said, we aiming for February. All right, we ain't going. High school is pretty much done. College ain't too far behind. You know, NFL going through February. So we gonna say by February, by the end of February, I'm hoping to hit 350 subscribers, and I hope that you all will help me get there. I appreciate all of you who have subscribed, who have been watching, who have been commenting, and just supporting your boy, man. Without further ado, let's get into the show. Like I said, the Bishop Amat Lancers, year one under Corey Minor, season's in the books. All right, the season's in the books. And I'm going to go on a little rant here, all right? And so I'm going to say this real quick. If you're a diehard Lancer fan that hates hearing anything bad about Bishop Amat, go ahead and skip a few minutes further down into the video, all right? If you someone who doesn't like foul language, go ahead and skip a few minutes down into the video, all right? It's about to get a little messy, all right? I'm gonna give y'all a second, all right? Let me get a sip of my water, all right? All right, we ready? Everyone that wants to be here, y'all here? Y'all ready? Okay. So, as you guys already saw, Amat lost to Pacifica 28-7, all right? And there's so many people that are going to sit there in this society that we live in today that is all about participation and, hey, as long as you have fun and you did so good and, congrats on a great season and all this stuff. Fuck that. All right? Straight up. Fuck that. We going to keep it real right now. All right? We going to keep it 100. I was pissed off. I really was. All right, I really was. We drove 2.5 hours. All right, like we talked about already, it was pouring rain, so I'm sitting in a puddle like damn panties at a Chris Brown concert, okay? And just watching the Lancers get belt to ass put on them, all right? Really, it was 28-0. All right, final score is 28-7. That was a little garbage time touchdown at the end. Really, it was 28-0. And Pacifica, hey, solid squad, talented team, executed their game plan, but there's no way it should have been 28-0 at any point in the game. I just got to be honest with you. And so while I'm sitting there watching it, I'm already mad because, like I said, we done drove a long way. It's pouring rain. These motherfuckers is not moving the ball, not scoring no points. And then the cherry on top to just piss me all the way off. We probably about midway through the third quarter. Like I said, it's 28-0. I look, and there's a group of players on the sideline joking, giggling, laughing, kiki kaka, grab assing, and all of the above, right? And that just really pissed me off. Because it's like, if you are down like that in a playoff game, your season's on the line, you're getting your ass whooped, you can't figure out how to get a stop or score some points. What is there to laugh about? What the hell is funny? Am I missing something? What is so funny? To take it a step further, that group that I saw laughing, I think all of them were seniors. And listen, I don't care what your mama, your daddy, I don't care your auntie, your uncle, your grandma, your grandpa come into the game saying, "Oh, mijo, you did so good. You're so good at the game." 90% of y'all ain't playing football again. All right, outside of some turkey, flag football games and these boof-ass all-star games that are going to come up in the next couple of months, a lot of y'all are never playing football again. So knowing that that's the case, what is so funny? It makes me, as someone who loves the game so much and played the game for a majority of my life, wish I could still be playing it today. It makes me wonder, did you even care to begin with? And while I'm sitting there looking and seeing them do this, I'm like, it just all makes sense now. It all makes sense because every single game that Amat lost this year, outside of the Sierra Canyon game, they were talented enough to win. They were talented enough to beat Oak Hills, to beat Vista Marietta, to beat Chaminade, to beat Pacifica, Sierra Canyon. All right, that's one of the best teams in the country. A lot of talent. Okay, cool. If you want to say you weren't talented enough to win that game, fine. But the rest, you were talented to win. You were talented enough to win. But you walked away from each game, each time they lost, saying the other team just wanted it more. Every single time a team wanted it more than Amat lost. Period. It was never about talent. It was only about effort and heart. And so I'm going to look in the camera and I'm going to tell the Amat players, the Amat coaches, the parents of the players, and any fan of Amat, the season ain't over because Amat wasn't talented enough. The season's over because the guys ain't wanted enough. And that is very sad to say, especially when you weren't put in Division I playoffs. You weren't put in Division II playoffs. You were put in Division III playoffs where everyone felt like you had a chance. Everyone felt like you could go and win it all. And rightfully so. You were talented enough to do so. And you just didn't want it enough to go and take it. Pacifica did, though. And the rest of the teams that are still playing, they want it. And so now that the seniors are gone, this is going to be a completely new team. And if you're someone like me, you feel like the offseason starts right now. We're not waiting until the new year. We're not waiting until spring. But no, the offseason starts now. Really, it started a few days ago after the last game, right? I'm going to talk to the guys that I'm assuming and hoping. Yeah, I got to say that now because of the day and age we're in of transferring every other day. The guys that I'm assuming will be Lancers next year. and that I think are very talented and that can be leaders of this team. Guys like my dog Cruz, Jaden Combo, my brother Justin, Siave Seti, who had a hell of a freshman year, hell of a freshman campaign, and is only going to get better from here on out. These are guys that I think are very talented and will be great leaders of this team in this upcoming season. Y'all got to be the leaders that y'all wish y'all had. Wasn't nobody on the sideline saying, hey, eyes on me, we need to play better. Everybody, if y'all let up a touchdown, let up a touchdown. If y'all ain't scoring no points, didn't score no points. That's what was happening with the leaders that y'all had. For the 3 of the names I just mentioned, it's y'all last year. How do y'all want it to go? Because it is solely on the players and whether or not they're going to take control of this locker room and say, this is the standard, we got to live up to it. We got to play to it. I'm hearing that this freshman class that was just in this past season did really well. It's a very good class. You guys are going to have some good returning pieces next year from this past varsity team. And you know that transfers will come in that are talented as well. But all of that means nothing if you don't have leadership, if you don't have guys saying, hey, this is how we need to play. This is how we need to work. This is the work we have to put in order to get to where we have where we want to be. We can't just sit there and ride the hype of Corey Minor being our head coach, because you saw how far that got you this year. At the end of the day, good teams are led by coaches. Great teams are led by players. And if you want to be great, like you guys know you can, it starts now. And it starts with leadership. Guys got to start. Hey, you guys know the offense. You guys know the defense. Let's get to the park on Saturday and start walking through plays. Start running through drills that we know we're going to already be going through come winter workouts and spring ball, fall camp. Start now. Start the leadership and all of that stuff. The work has to start now if you want to be playing this time next year instead of turning your gear in. That's all I got to say about Bishop Amat and the way their season ended. Yes, of course, shouts out to Corey Minor and his staff. They came into the season not really knowing what to expect. A lot of hype, a lot of buzz, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. But at the end of the day, did make it to the second round of the playoffs. So shout out to y'all. But I don't think your season should be over right now, which is why I'm so, upset about it. And again, it's not, I know that I'm just looking like an unk and sounding like an unk and a guy that is going to his alma mater, can't let it go. But really, I'm only covering Amat this extensively because my brother's there. Once my brother gone, I will not be talking about Amat nearly as much as I do. But, it's not even me saying all this as an Amat alum or a fan of Amat. It's me saying this as a fan of the game. As a fan of the game, I hate seeing teams go out on the field and underperform and lose games when they are more than capable, more than talented enough to win them. When you point at things like effort and lack of attention to detail and lack of just caring overall, that's really going to piss me off when I see that that's the reason you're losing games. So I wanted to make that clear, man. Let's move on to the next topic. Next up on the halftime headlines, like I said, I'm going to do my first ever college football playoff bracket prediction. My good friend Zeke Cisneros dropped a comment on my video last week asking me to do this, and I thought it was a great idea. It was challenging for sure, but I thought, why not? Let's take a crack at it. And I want to say this before I get into it, man. If y'all got any ideas, if y'all got anything that you want to see me talk about or just hear anyone talk about, please drop a comment. Please send me a DM. If you have my number, send me a text, whatever the case may be. Like I said, my good friend dropped a comment, and so I'm responding to it now. Last week, you saw I added a DM that I got from one of my good friends as well. So, a lot of y'all are subscribed to the Stephen A's and the Shannon Sharps, the Pat McAfee's, and they're the best. You know what I'm saying? They're the best at what they do. But at the same time, where else are you going to get the opportunity to shoot a text or drop a comment or whatever the case may be, and the person you're watching actually responds? So a lot of y'all know people that are constantly commenting and constantly trying to DM these guys, man. Tell them to come subscribe to the Diz, all right? And whatever it is that y'all want to talk about or want to hear me talk about, it'll get talked about on this show, man. Let's get into this playoff, man. It was difficult. It really was. Because this is a prediction. This is a projection. This isn't just me talking about a playoff bracket that's out right now. This is me saying this is what I think is going to take place. And once the season ends, this is who the top teams will be and who will get into the playoffs. All right. So let's start with number one. All right. let me say this first. This bracket, not only is it me trying to be different, all right? I'm not trying to just say what everybody else said, but it's gonna have some integrity, all right? And that's part of why it's gonna be different. I'm gonna have some integrity with this. The reason why I say that is because I got Indiana at number 1. I said a couple weeks ago that I feel like they're more battle tested than Ohio State, and because of that, they will beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. And I'm not backtracking on that. I got Indiana at number 1. All right, number 2, I got Georgia. Man. After watching them play Texas, I covered the game. Watching them play Texas and watching Texas A&M struggle against South Carolina. Obviously, they had the tremendous comeback and won the game, but you allow that lead to anyone else and you now have a loss on your record. So that kind of made me take a step back a bit on South Carolina or on Texas A&M. And if Texas A&M meets Georgia in the SEC championship, I got Georgia winning that game. The way that this defense gets after it, man, the way that this run game is so effective. They win in the trenches, and the way Gunnar Stockton can just get the ball out quickly to his playmakers and watch them make plays. Mike Bobo, the offensive coordinator for Georgia, just a great job of scheming guys open. This is just a complete team, a great team after watching them play Texas. And I think that, like I said, they're getting hot at the perfect time, and I think they'll roll through the rest of their schedule. And if Texas A&M beats Texas in a couple weeks, I think it'll be A&M and Georgia in the SEC championship game, and I got Georgia winning this game, which means they will be the 2 seed of my college football playoff bracket. All right, number 3, I'm gonna put the reigning and defending national champions, the Ohio State Buckeyes. If they lose in the Big Ten championship, to me, that's if Indiana's the best team in the nation, how many teams are beating Indiana, all right? So they shouldn't fall out of the rankings or anything like that, fall out of the top 4 for losing that game. So I'm going to put them at 3, and I'm going to say the same for Texas A&M. If their only blemish is losing to Georgia in the SEC championship game, to me, you still deserve to be one of the top 4 teams in the playoffs. So those are my top 4 right there. Indiana, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas A&M. All right, now let's get into the good stuff. All right, let's get into the good stuff where I'm really going to show you, you know what I'm saying, some integrity. You know what I'm saying, some real heart, some real nigga shit. All right, just point blank period. Some real nigga shit right here, all right? Number 12. I said it was about integrity, right? I said it was about standing on business, standing on 10, right? I'm putting Notre Dame at 12. Which in most brackets, if not all of them, they are a lot higher. And they lucky they asses in mine, period. Because y'all remember what I said about Notre Dame at the beginning of the season, right? And I didn't mean to say that they aren't talented or they're not talented enough to be a top 25 team. The reason why I was upset about them still being ranked after being 0-2 is because they lost to the 2 best teams that they're going to play all year. And they were supposed to beat those 2 teams in Miami and Texas A&M. They were supposed to win those games, and they lose. And so now what's going to happen is they're going to go 10-0 these next however many weeks, and we're going to be looking at them saying they're 10-2. They got to be in the CFP. But when you look at those 10 wins, it's nobody significant. It's nobody that's shit. I got the guns poking out today, huh? Shit. It's nobody that you look at and say, oh yeah, that's a quality win. Anyone on their schedule, if there was anyone on their schedule that you're going to look at and say, okay, that's a quality win, it's the 2 teams they lost to at the beginning of the year. They're not in a conference, so they're not going to play in a conference championship. So again, they're going to be 10-2, having won 10 games in a row, and everyone's going to be like, oh, this is one of the best teams in the country. Let's put them in the college football playoff over a team that is in a conference, has to play in the conference championship, and now maybe has 3 losses. But because of that 3rd loss that happened maybe in a conference championship, you're going to move them out and put Notre Dame in, which to me is not fair. When I look at teams that are in the SEC that are really good, that if they were independent and they had Notre Dame's schedule, they'd probably be undefeated. When I take all of that into account, I do think it's unfair to have them rank after starting 0-2, because guess what? When they're ranked, that means that each win that they get, they're just going to move up and up and up. And again, they're going to win 10 games in a row. So by the end of the year, they're going to be ranked a top 10 team again, having beat who? SC, your best win. And look at where we are now. It's almost like Dizzy knows what the fuck he's talking about. Your 2 toughest games were the first 2 games on your schedule. You lost both of those, played a cupcake ass schedule the rest of the way, and now you're in the college football playoffs. I'm not going to reward you and put you at 5 or 6, 7 seed in the playoffs just because you didn't play in a conference, didn't play in a conference championship. You played a cupcake ass schedule, and now you've won what, the last 10 games because you played subpar competition? No, your ass is going to be the 12 seed, barely getting into the playoffs, and you're going to have a tough matchup round 1. I'm not going to, you're not about to be any higher than that. So that's where Notre Dame is. That's who number 12 is in my college football playoff bracket. Number 11 is USF. I think that of the Group 5 teams, they've played the toughest schedule and they've won the more meaningful games. I know they have a couple losses to a couple teams that make you scratch your head a little bit, but they have played the toughest schedule. I can't put them behind teams that have played subpar competition and are in the conversation strictly because of that. And here's my prediction for next year. I think the football committee is going to sit here and say, all right, Group 5 teams are getting in on a case-to-case basis, all right? Not every Group 5 team is the same, and not a Group 5 team has to get in every single year, because when you look at the teams right now, I think multiple Big 12 teams could get in. I think multiple SEC teams could get in, maybe even Big 10, but you're using one slot and saying this has to be a Group 5 team. It doesn't have to, all right? You put Boise State up there last year because, yes, they dominated the Mountain West, but also they competed with Oregon, who was number 1 in the nation the whole season until they ran into Ohio State later in the year. So that's why Boise State got in. But if you're not really upsetting teams or really playing some of the top teams, you shouldn't just automatically get in because you bust through subpar competition. Same thing I said with Notre Dame. So I'm going to put USF in there. I'm going to put them in at 11 because a Group 5 team has to be in there. But if it was up to me, I wouldn't. All right. I would put BYU in there because I think that they're going to get to the Big 12 championship and lose, but I think that'll be a meaningful loss. And I think the loser of the Big 12 personally is going to be better than the loser of the ACC. And you'll see what I mean as I get deeper into this bracket. All right. So that's number 11. Number 10. I'm going Oklahoma. All right. They knocked off Alabama, which has caused them to move up in the ranks. I think they'll win their last 2 games against Missouri and LSU. And if that happens to be the case, I think they will punch their ticket into the college football playoffs. Moving on to number 9. I got Oregon. All right. You may wonder, why aren't they higher? Why aren't they getting a home game? Well, you were supposed to be the big dog in the Big 10, at least one of the top 2. A lot of people predicted you wouldn't be 2, all right? And you shit the bed against Indiana. You're not going to be in the Big 10 championship game, so why should you be rewarded for not making the Big 10 championship, all right? I got them at number 9. Let's move in to 5 through 8, all right? Let's get a little spicy, all right? Let's start with number 8, who Oregon will be playing in my projection. I got a comment that was like, I think you meant to say this when you really said that. It's like my mind and my mouth, pause, it be on 2 different pages, all right? So sometimes I just mix words together, be saying some bullshit, all right? Projection, my bracket projection, who I think Oregon, the number 9 seed, will play is number 8 seed, Alabama, all right? They took a tough loss to Oklahoma. You may believe that's a bad loss, but they still beat Georgia, got a big win over LSU a couple weeks ago, and I think they're worthy of being in the college football playoffs, all right? Let's move on to number 7, who the 10 seed, Oklahoma, will be traveling to. In my opinion, this is the team that's going to win the ACC because I don't believe in Carson Beck. I don't believe in Miami. Georgia Tech. Give me Haynes King and the Yellow Jackets to win the ACC and punch their ticket into the college football playoffs. And I think that, man, I just want to see it mixed up a little bit. You know what? Can you imagine seeing Georgia Tech, like seeing that stadium filled up because it's a playoff matchup? Like, I just want to see it mixed up a little bit, man. Like I said, I don't believe in Carson Beck. I don't believe in this Miami team that's been up and down all year. I think Haynes King will do enough, put the team on his back, and win an ACC championship game. And like when I talked about BYU, I personally think again that the loser of that Big 12 matchup will be better than the loser of the ACC matchup. So whether it's Miami or Georgia Tech that loses that game, I think BYU is better than both. So again, if there was a rule that said, USF doesn't have to make it, I would put BYU. Golly. I'll put BYU where USF is. And again, I got Georgia Tech right there taking on Oklahoma in the first round matchup. Moving on to number 6, who would be taking on USF, who USF would have to travel to and get their ass whooped. Ole Miss. I got Lane Kiffin and his squad in at the 6th seed. I think that they've done more than enough to punch their ticket into the college football playoff. Big win over Georgia. Been doing well in the SEC. Again, a bunch of SEC teams could have probably made it. But I got Ole Miss at 6 and putting belt to ass on USF. The last matchup, all right, to wrap this all up. Number 12, Notre Dame, will be heading down to take on the number 5 seed, the Big 12 champs, the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Y'all know that I am a big fan of this team, man, and I love this team. And I got them at number 5 because, again, I think they'll win their conference, and they really, in my opinion, would be undefeated if their quarterback wasn't hurt against ASU. If their quarterback wasn't hurt against ASU, they win that game, all right? So I got Texas Tech taking on Notre Dame at the crib, 5 versus 12. And there's the bracket. All right, you see it right there on your screen. Again, Indiana, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas A&M. Those are my top 4. And then the matchups, 5 versus 12, Texas Tech versus Notre Dame, 6 versus 11, Ole Miss versus USF, 7 versus 10, Georgia Tech versus Oklahoma, and 8 versus 9, Alabama versus Oregon. That is my first ever college football playoff bracket prediction. Let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. Who should be in? Who do you think will be in? And who on this list in this bracket do you think should and will be out, man? Let me know in the comments below. Let's move on to the next topic. Next up on the halftime headlines, man, you done seen it everywhere. And I know I said I wasn't going to cover the mainstream stuff. I was going to try to keep it, with small niche stories. But, I think with the angle that I'm about to take on this and my perspective, I think it's worth talking about, man. Shedeur Sanders, he had his debut this past weekend against the Baltimore Ravens. Dillon Gabriel goes down with a concussion, and Shedeur basically plays most of the second half. They end up losing the game. Shedeur was kind of putting a game-winning drive together, and it kind of fizzled out. And, obviously everybody has something to say about this, man. And I was talking to the homies about it, and my boy Pa, Dre Blanche, I'm saying, hey, Thanksgiving coming up. Make sure you get right with him, all right? Make sure you get the fade and, whatever you got to do, all right? We was talking about it, and he, sensed, a little tone in my voice, that I was a little annoyed. And he's like, what's up, man? Like, you don't fuck with Shedeur or what? And I don't dislike Shedeur, all right? What I dislike are the reactions that come from anything that Shedeur does, all right? On one side, you got people that are looking at his debut and they didn't watch the game. They just look at the stats, saw 4 for 16, and say, this dude's ass. This is why he sucks, 5th round pick, all that type of stuff, right? Just jumping on, hating on whatever it is that Shedeur does, all right? So you got that on one side. On the other side, you got the absolute meat riders who are just going to praise everything he does and think that if he doesn't succeed, it has to be someone else's fault. When Shedeur wasn't playing and it was Joe Flacco and Dillon Gabriel as the quarterbacks of the Cleveland Browns and they struggled, it was, oh, well, the quarterback sucks. Joe Flacco sucks, put Shedeur in. Dillon Gabriel sucks, put Shedeur in. But then Shedeur goes in and he struggles, and all of a sudden it's, oh, well, the team sucks. Well, what do you expect? The coach threw him into the fire. The coach doesn't expect them, doesn't want him to win, and doesn't put him in position to win. All this bullshit, all right? So you see how it can be annoying on either side. You feel what I'm saying? So I feel like if you're a person that's on either one of those sides, you need to cut it out, all right? And I'm going to break down why each side needs to cut it out. Let's start with the side that just loves to hate, all right? Let's just start there, all right? Why you hate, all right? Let's just address that first. Why are we hating, all right? Why we hate so much? There are so many people out there that just choose to hate on everything Shedeur does because they believe he doesn't deserve to be where he's at. He's only there because of his last name, because he's the son of Hall of Famer Deion Sanders. Now, Does he have a lot of hype? Does he have a lot of noise that comes with him and his name every time he steps out? Primarily because of his father. Yes. All right. If it wasn't for his last name, would there be as much hype and as much noise and as much media coverage as there is around Shedeur? No, probably not. All right. But at the end of the day, that's the case. And to sit there and act like he doesn't deserve to be in the spot that he's in is absolutely ridiculous. And let me prove to you why that is ridiculous. The guy that you guys say should be the front runner for Heisman and that ESPN has as the number 1 pick in the 2026 draft, Fernando Mendoza. Let's look at his numbers real quick and let's compare him to Shedeur's final season at Colorado. I did some research and I did some math on my own to prove my point here. In 2024, Shedeur's last season at Colorado, he had 4,134 pass yards and 37 pass TDs. Fernando Mendoza in 2025, again, the Heisman frontrunner and the person that people believe will be the first overall pick in the 2026 draft. I did the math, and if he plays this final game against Purdue, the Big Ten Conference Championship, and plays all the way through the national championship, based on his averages right now, he will finish with 3,841 pass yards and 38 touchdowns. So basically, you guys are hyping up a guy who's on a national championship level team and is about to have 300 yards less than Shedeur. You're hyping him up to be the Heisman and the number 1 overall pick, while Shedeur was a 5th round pick, and a lot of y'all believe shouldn't have even been drafted, was only drafted because of his dad's name. You see how that's a little inconsistent? You see how you're moving the goalposts a little bit? What if Shedeur had Elijah Surratt and the national championship level that Indiana has? Now, I know, oh, he had Travis Hunter. Yeah. But what else did he have? All right, so we got to stop moving the goalposts and stop acting like we're being consistent all the time when a lot of you guys are not. All right, you're hating on this dude because of who his dad is and who his name is, but praising another dude for being really subpar, according to you guys. Because if Shedeur is average, if Shedeur is subpar, then what do you call the guy who is the leader of a national championship team with way less numbers? Okay, so that's the first point. All right, and with that being said, again, a lot of y'all weren't watching the game. A lot of y'all just looked at the box score, saw 4 for 16. Okay, Shedeur's ass. But a lot of y'all weren't taking into account that, I mean, at least at the top of my head, there were at least 3 to 4 passes that were drops that should have been caught by Shedeur's receivers, but they weren't. A lot of y'all aren't taking into account that the play caller was going first and second down runs that were going nowhere and putting Shedeur in 3rd and long situations that most, if not all, rookie QBs struggle to thrive in. Okay, so again, we got to just stop acting like everything and anything that Shedeur does, we just got to hate it and we got to shit on it because he's only there because of his. No, the brother, is he the best quarterback in the league? No, not even close. But he did earn his way to get to where he's at, and the numbers are there to prove it. All right, so let me now move on to those who always have Shedeur's meat in their mouth. All right, let me move on to that crowd. All right, before I really dive into it, I want to say this. Can we stop with the, you know where I'm trying to go with this? You know where I'm trying to go? Shedeur is not a combination of Tom Brady and Martin Luther King Jr. All right, he's not some fucking black activist that anytime he does anything good, it's for the people, and anytime we think something's being done against him, it's because the white man trying to get over on the black man. All right, can we stop with that? I know I the first thing I said when I started doing this was never going to be about race or politics or anything like that, but anytime you bring up Shedeur, that's what it becomes. That's what the argument becomes. Can we stop with that? All right, let's talk some football. All right, let's talk some football. I'm getting really pissed off and really annoyed and really frustrated with seeing everyone talk about, well, he was just thrown into the fire. Well, his quarterback, not his quarterback, his coach didn't put him in position to succeed. His coach doesn't want him to succeed. Oh, well, why wasn't he taking reps with the first string? As someone who played football for majority of my life and who had at one point was a backup, it's just nonsense. It's just nonsense when you really think about it, man. Because in any sport, any position, anytime, when someone gets hurt, there is a 3-word phrase that everybody says, and you all know it. Say it with me. Next man up. Period. It doesn't matter if you've taken reps with the first team or have never sniffed the field before. Next man up. Everyone's sitting there saying, well, he was just thrown into the fire. Duh. The quarterback, the starter got hurt. Wouldn't you want them to be like, all right, we're going to put fucking Jerry Jeudy at quarterback and wait till next week when Shedeur can really prepare and have all the reps with the first team. Then we'll put him. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. So to sit there and say he's just being thrown into the fire and he's unprepared because he didn't take first string reps, I want to refer you, because I'm sure a lot of you are probably saying, well, you didn't play in the NFL, so what the fuck you know? Let me defer to someone who has been the third string all season and just started for their team this past weekend, Jameis Winston. Listen to this.
James, what was your mentality, first couple of months of the season? Waiting for your chance? And
I wasn't waiting. I was preparing, doing the same thing every single day, staying locked in, serving as much as I can to my teammates. The same thing. I believe in preparation is the key. I believe pressure is for the unprepared. So I just try to continue to prepare like I am the starting quarterback, and I'm grateful that I had this moment. It's just unfortunate that we didn't finish.
You think Jameis Winston was getting first team reps all throughout camp and this whole point throughout the season? Hell no, he wasn't. But are y'all sitting there saying, oh, well, Jameis Winston, they didn't win this past weekend because Jameis Winston ain't get reps with the ones? No, it's a next man up mentality. A lot of y'all were probably saying, like me, oh, that's just Jameis Winston. He threw an interception in the game. That's Jameis Winston for you. But when are you going to sit there and say, well, that's Shedeur. That's Shedeur that holds on to the ball too long. That's Shedeur who, when it's 3rd and 5, you just need 5 yards. He's throwing it through the back of the end zone. That's Shedeur who is constantly leaving clean pockets, trying to improvise and often runs into a sack. That's Shedeur. But instead of taking that route and watching the game and dissecting the game and seeing where he messed up, it's all about what everyone else did wrong, what everyone else did bad to Shedeur. We got to stop that, bro. At some point, we got to stop that. We got to sit there and realize that these are professionals, Shedeur included, professionals. And they should always be ready to go at any time. Man 1 through 53, next man up mentality. If your number is called, you got to shine, you got to perform. And we can't sit here and say that it's all the quarterback's fault when your favorite quarterback isn't in. When Shedeur wasn't in, we can't sit there and say, oh, well, the quarterback sucks. Get Shedeur in. And then put Shedeur in. Oh, well, the team sucks. No, it doesn't work that way. It's either one or the other, the team or the quarterback. They both suck. The Browns, they both suck. All right. So I just wanted to shed my light. All right. I hope that makes sense where I'm coming from. Like I said, different angle, different perspective. And I hope that if you were on either one of those sides, you understand what I'm saying. And now you come into the middle with me where I'm just saying, let the brother play and we'll analyze and dissect it for what it is, not for, we got to say this because he's Deion's son or, hate on him because of this or that. No, we just going to analyze him like the football player he is. All right. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Let's move on to the next topic. This last topic I'm going to touch on very quickly because I got a few comments reacting to what I had to say about Upland being in the playoffs as a 2-8 team, especially after Orange Lutheran has advanced again into the playoffs as a 2-8 team in the Division I playoffs. I got a comment from a subscriber of mine, Cali Viking 805. I'm not saying it's to bag on you, brother, all right, or sister. I don't know who you are, so I won't assume, but I just again, if you have an opinion, let me know. You know what I'm saying? And we'll talk about it. But I also got other comments about it on Twitter and stuff. Someone was like, oh, well, since Upland won in the first round, does that mean that, the system still messed up? Yeah. And my dog, Cali Viking, was sitting there saying, my take didn't age well because, Lou advanced to the playoffs. Well, I did use the Trinity League as an example when I was talking about what's wrong with the CIF playoffs. And once you see, okay, 6-win team, now we go to strength of schedule. Here's an example. So, a team like Servite in the Trinity League. If you have 4 losses and it's to Mater Dei, Bosco, Santa Margarita, and Orange Lutheran, then that strength of schedule is going to allow you to be in the playoffs because your 4 losses are to 4 of the best teams in the country. And so that'll get you to avoid teams going out and saying, all right, we're going to just schedule 6 trash teams and then lose 4 games in league and still be in the playoffs. No, you still have to schedule good teams in the preseason and be competitive with those teams. So again, strength of schedule matters. everyone that Olu lost to were nationally ranked teams. They actually won 4 games, but they had to forfeit. I couldn't look up why. If I had to assume they had some ineligible players, maybe, but they won 4 games. And if you take the 6 games that they lost, again, 4 is more than 2, so I'm cool with it, I guess. The 6 games that they lost were to nationally ranked teams: Sierra Canyon, Mater Dei, St. John Bosco, Santa Margaret. Like, they were to nationally ranked teams that make you say, okay, that's a talented team. They just ran into a buzzsaw. Sure, they can be into the playoffs. So that's all I was kind of trying to get at, especially when you look at Upland, who didn't play nearly the same caliber of teams in their schedule, and one of their only wins was against an 0-10 team. That's why I was very upset with Upland making it into the playoffs. But when you're in the Trinity League, I mean, there's only so many teams that are gonna win when you got 2 of the best teams in the country in that league. And Olu, they keeping it going. So I mean, I guess they do have a point for letting 2-8 teams in. In my defense, they'd be 4-6 if it weren't for those forfeited games. And again, I brought up the Trinity League as an example of how you can get in due to your strength of schedule, even if you have a bad record. All right. So hope that clears it up a little bit. Let's move on to He's Diffie.
Wide open man, a flick into the end zone by Jerome Simpson. Oh, goodness.
First up on He's Diffie, man, a guy who's probably risen up into the Heisman talks a little bit. Haynes King, Georgia Tech quarterback, 371 pass yards and a touchdown in the win over Boston College. That win was kind of like the win Texas A&M had over South Carolina, but hey, I still have them beat Miami in the ACC championship game, man. Let's move on to who's next. My Sam Houston Bearcats. All right, you thought I forgot about y'all, didn't y'all? 2 wins in a row. Oregon State and Delaware. 2 weeks in a row, 2 wins in a row. Shout out to them, man. That's being different because you've been getting your ass whooped all year. So these last 2 weeks have been different. All right, lastly, on He's Diffie, Bryce Young, man. 448 pass yards, 3 touchdowns, not a single turnover, not a single interception in the overtime win over the Falcons, man. Haynes King, Sam Houston, Bryce Young, that's all who were different this past weekend, man. Let's move into some predictions.
One thing.
All right, I'm going to look to bounce back, man. You see the record right here. I'm now under 500 because everyone that I predicted to win, almost everybody shit the bed last week. All right, I think Georgia might have been the only team that I predicted to win that actually won. All right, so we're going to try to shake back. All right, let's get into some NAIA college football playoffs. All right. Carroll College. Don't like them, but they're going to take on St. Thomas. The St. Thomas is in Florida. Carroll's played them before, and they whooped their ass the last time they played them. All right, I think Carroll will do the same again. So that Frontier Conference ball, man, is different. All right, as someone who was in it for 4 years, it's different when it comes to NAIA football. All right, so I got Carroll winning that game. Number 22, Pitt going down to take on number 16, Georgia Tech. I got Georgia Tech winning again, and I'm gonna say this again. I got them winning this weekend. I got them in the ACC championship game, beating Miami. All right, let's move on. Number 17, USC taking on number 8, Oregon. A lot of people upset that game day is gonna be there. I don't give a fuck. I don't care if game day's there. I don't care if Barack Obama. I don't give a fuck who's there. Oregon gonna whoop that ass. All right, you 4's up, motherfucker. All right. Vikings going down to Green Bay to take on the Packers. I got the Packers, man. Vikings have been very inconsistent, specifically at the quarterback position with J.J. McCarthy, a.k.a. 9. All right, when you sit there and refer to yourself as 9, you deserve to get your ass whooped. All right, give me the Packers to win at home. Colts going on the road to take on the Chiefs. I always bet against the Chiefs, and I come up wrong. I don't give a fuck. I'm doing it again. All right, the way that the Chiefs have been playing, it's just been kind of like almost playing not to lose type of thing, and I think the Colts are probably the perfect team to play like that. The way they run the ball, the way that they do play action pass, they never take too many risks, and they're very methodical in what they do. I got the Colts winning the game on the road. And lastly, the Bucks coming down to LA take on the Rams. If the Bucks is on the fucking screen, I'm picking their ass. All right, give me the Bucks. All right, the Rams look a little shaky against Seattle. I mean, if it wasn't for Sam Darnold out there giving the ball away like fucking Halloween candy, the Rams probably would have lost that game. I think if they play that same way against the Bucks, Baker Mayfield will make them pay. All right, those are my predictions for this weekend. Let me know what y'all think. Let's move on to the halftime speech.
The Cinderella story is over, man.
right? They're fighting for clicks, we're fighting for wins. There's a difference, right? There's a difference.
I'm hurt, dog. Don't ask me if I'm all right. Hell no. Joaquin said dominate, and we not doing it. I'm putting my heart in this dog. Let's go, man. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Loyalty is going inside your heart and find out who you really are. Make sure you look at your teammate today and you come out and you give pure hell today. This team ain't ready for us. Let's prove that they ain't ready for us. Oh, get in here. Let's go. Get in here right now. Get in here. Hey, we got 30 minutes for the rest of our lives. 30 minutes for the rest of our lives.
Halftime speech, man. A little nugget to help you get through the rest of your day, week, month, year, wherever you at in life, man. I'm hoping I can say something to help motivate you. If you notice, I'm talking with a little bit of pace now. I'm speeding the thing up a little bit because my camera's about to die. All right, so we're gonna try to quickly do this, man. I'm gonna quickly tell this story. All right. I know I said all that I said about driving in the rain. I'm driving the speed limit, except for on Sunday. I woke up. I was supposed to be at work at 8 a.m. And if you don't know, I live about an hour away from my job. All right. It's an hour drive every day. I had to be at work at 8 a.m. to do NFL. I wake up. It's 7:45. Holy shit. You know what I did? I pick up my phone. I see it's 7:45. I go like this. Like the fucking cartoons. Like my eyes weren't working right. I see that 7:45. I fucking put some clothes on, fucking scrape my toothbrush across my teeth once and fucking get the fuck out. And I'm zooming down the damn road. It's pouring rain on Sunday morning. I'm zooming. And I literally just looked and said, Lord Jesus, please protect me. And I took off. All right. And so I'm zooming. I'm mad. I'm nervous. I'm late. I mean, NFL is like the biggest thing ever at Fox. That's the biggest money maker. So you can't mess up. And I'm like, I'm about to lose my fucking job. And so I'm zooming. And on Sundays, when I go to work, a Sunday morning, I can't go to church. So I usually put on worship music on the way to work. Right. And so just randomly, I'm like, all right, let me not change what I got going on. Let me still put on my worship music, especially if I'm begging God to protect me while I'm going 85 in fucking this monsoon, right? So I put on my worship music. I'm singing. And shortly after, I know y'all are probably going to be like, well, that's just when the storm ended or any, but I'm going to choose to look at it differently. As I'm singing my worship music, the clouds just start to break apart and the rain just stops. All right, it was clear all the way to the rest of the way at work. And again, that could have just meant that the storm stopped there. All right, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's an absolute miracle, or if you choose not to believe that, whatever. I know what I believe, and if you don't believe the same, then that's you. All right, but I'm gonna say what I believe. I believe that it was a sign, it was a message that when things are going rough, when you seem to be in a storm, don't focus on the storm. I said it here before. Don't focus on the storm. Focus on God, because he will clear that storm right up for you as soon as you put all of your trust and faith in him. And I feel like that was just a sign right there. And that was just affirmation, something that I already knew, but it was just confirmation, affirmation that when things are rough, man, don't look at what you're going through. Look at the one that can pull you out, can pull you through. And he will definitely do that every single time. I got to work safely. I snuck in. None of my bosses found out. I went through my day just fine. And everyone said I did a good job, did some great work. So, again, I'm hoping that if you're in a storm right now, both literally and figuratively, don't focus on the storm, man. Focus on God, and God's going to pull you through. That's all I got for this episode of Halftime with Dizzy. I appreciate you all tuning in, man. Make sure you're following me on all the socials. Make sure you're running up that subscribe count, and stay tuned. I have another video for you real soon.